This is huge for Arsenal. Look, yesterday's result wasn't exactly what we wanted, but trust me, there's something much bigger going on here. Something that could shape the way that we start the season. So while everyone's focusing on the scoreline, I did see something else. This could be a real possible shift, and I want to speak about it. Before I get into the video though, you know the drill. My name is Jedd, and if you could help me out by hitting like. And I had something pop up to say that 90% of people at times who watch these videos are not subscribed. So just hit subscribe. It helps this channel out so much. So before I get into the video, of course, we're going to speak about the Villarreal game and a massive boost that I see for Arsenal. And not just in one way, in multiple ways that I'm not hearing many people speak about. But I do want to know people's thoughts on the game. And I genuinely want to know, because this will be a divisive kind of fixture. Like, Arsenal lost, and there's two ways to look at it. You can either be really negative and start to panic, or you can say it's just a pre-season. So let me know where you are with Arsenal on this pre-season in the comment section. The first thing I would say is, let's just remember that this is a pre-season, and I'm being very careful not to dismiss the people who do have serious concerns and worries about the start of the season, because if your team loses 2 games in a pre-season when you've only got 1 pre-season game left and then you go into the Premier League season, it's totally understandable. But there are varying factors as to why that could have happened. And I want to start with the first one, because we've got big Gabriel back. And I can't tell you how much of a boost this is for Arsenal alone. And there are other ones, maybe even more important, that we're going to speak about in a minute. But let's start with Big Gabs. Because 2 of them goals yesterday came through Jakub Kiwior. And I'm not going to throw Jakub Kiwior under the bus, because it looks like he might want to try and action and move away from Arsenal this season. But if we're being honest, if Gabriel was playing from the start, we know he's just coming back from injury, you probably don't concede 2 of those goals where Kiwior may have been kept caught sleeping, or just in the moments not really doing what I would expect Gabriel to do to avoid those goals. So we didn't have our strongest back line, and with the reintroduction of Gabriel, you can start to realistically imagine some of these goals that are going in, they just wouldn't even have the opportunity to do that in the Premier League season. So that's the reason there's 2 goals straight away that I don't think we concede if we have Big Gabs on the pitch. Also, I'm looking at that midfield and I'm thinking, like, we didn't have, at any point in that game, our first starting 11 play all together. It was massively experimental from Mikel Arteta. And you can look at that in a good way or a bad way. People might be saying, well, this close to the season, we should be playing our full team. But there will be people last season who were bashing Mikel Arteta by saying, you keep constantly playing the same team. Why are you not switching it up? Why are we not trying different players in different positions and also giving different players a chance to maybe fight for a position in this first team? That's what Mikel Arteta done yesterday. We saw 2 lots of different midfield free for the Arsenal yesterday. And look, the one that started and the one that finished, I'm not sure which one will be the starting midfield come the start of the season. But at least now we've seen all of those players in those positions. I actually thought, people won't like this, Mikel Merino at times was good in that game. I thought Ethan Nwaneri was a very, very bright spark. Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard was a bit of, when they came on, was it a bit of a flashback to last season when we're maybe struggling to break teams down? Is that something that Mikel Arteta may address? Is that why he's starting these different players in midfield? I'm not sure Mikel Arteta even knows what his best team is yet. I think after that game now, I think he's going to have a massively better chance of understanding what players work with certain players. Because Gyökeres, let's speak about Gyökeres. People are saying, oh my God, Gyökeres didn't do much. And that's probably rival fans just on the wind-up. Because are we forgetting that action where Saka was played through and Gyökeres took the initiative to say, this is my position, this is my ball, I will take the shot. He had the shot, he didn't score. But to show that confidence in that moment, I think is excellent, because you want a striker to be greedy. You want a striker to be goal hungry. We've heard the words from Viktor Gyökeres' mouth saying, all I want is as many goals as possible. And him showing that in that moment, maybe at parts of the game he seemed like he was lacking confidence, but as soon as he gets the chance to show that he is a lethal and deadly striker, he took that opportunity. So I think that is a very good showing from Gyökeres. Also, let's not forget that moment he had on the left-hand side where he took 2 players on and he flashed the ball across the box. And you want a player like Gyökeres to be in the box, but was he just doing that because the left winger wasn't providing those moments for him? Like, he didn't really have much service in that game, Viktor Gyökeres. And as a striker, sometimes you have to create your own moments, I understand. But if you're like literally not getting the ball, then what chance are you going to have? Was Martinelli creating as many chances for Gyökeres as he should have? No, probably not. I actually think more chances were created in the second half when Viktor Gyökeres come off. The players that we were playing, I didn't mind what Madueke done. I think there was a couple of times he beat his guy on the left-hand side and whipped the ball in. So if Gyökeres was on the pitch for those moments, then I think Gyökeres gets more of a chance to score. So when we see Gyökeres with players like Madueke and Saka, I know he was playing that game, but I think the chances will come for Gyökeres, and it wasn't a terrible showing. Is there some adaptation that's needed? Probably. This is a guy who's playing in a completely new league, a new environment. So, of course, there's going to be a slight adjustment. But I'm not worried or concerned about Viktor Gyökeres hitting the ground running. This is not a player who will go 7 games without scoring, as a lot of people are hoping him to. And, of course, there's rival fans. But the 007 thing has already started on social media. Oh, my God, Viktor Gyökeres has already gone 002. He hasn't scored in 2 games. And it's like, well, he played 10 minutes in the first game. And then the second game, you know, he played a good chunk of time, but it wasn't the Arsenal first team that was playing with him, so the chances probably were limited. I want to speak about Madueke on the left-hand side because, look, I've made videos about Madueke playing on the left, and people slated me, by the way. Madueke's never played on the left. What are you talking about? He's a right winger. I can't believe you're expecting Madueke to play on the left. He come on yesterday and played on the left. So me telling people I can see a vision of Madueke getting down the left-hand side and crossing the ball, whipping the ball into Viktor Gyökeres. That's exactly what we saw yesterday. So yeah, I think Madueke will be good for this team. Will he have moments where he's played on the right as well? Of course. But this could be Arsenal's left wing signing. Now, I do still think we can go out there and sign Eze and he can interchange with Madueke by playing left wing, or if we need him in a more central area to help in those attacking moments to break teams down. But Madueke will be played at times on the left wing. Maybe I can still be wrong. The season hasn't started yet, and maybe when Trossard comes back, Trossard will play that role. But I said Madueke will play on the left, and that's exactly what we saw, and I didn't mind what I saw. Could he have been better in certain moments? Yes, but the whole Arsenal team could have. Like, there's moments where every Arsenal player on that pitch at times you're looking at and you're thinking, come on guys, like we need to step it up a bit. But the main bright spark from this game and the whole pre-season was Max Dowman. And again, I've spoke about Max Dowman on this channel and people get a little bit uncomfortable and say leave Max Dowman alone. But I think you can comprehensively say Max Dowman will be a part of the Arsenal first team next season or this season. And the reason I know this is, look at every single pre-season game. Max Dowman has come on and looked like Arsenal's best player. The best player on Arsenal's pre-season this season has been Max Dowman. And I'm not saying when you take age into consideration or where these players are in their development. I'm saying the best Arsenal player on this pre-season, in my opinion, of course, is Max Dowman. He's been the guy, when he gets on the ball, he makes you get off your seat and think, oh my God, if there's ever going to come an opening or a player creating something, it looks like Max Dowman will be that guy. Now, the only thing with Max Dowman is he can't play until December, apparently because of the age. He has to be 16 and he missed one of the cut-offs. So if he does play this season, it's going to be from December when he turns 16. But I could see a world where Max Dowman gets more minutes than a lot of us are expecting. And again, I'm not expecting massive things from Max Dowman because I don't want to put the pressure on him. But I think if there's a game where you're struggling and you need a spark, like the ease in which Max Dowman skips past Villarreal's first team players is incredible at 15 years old. This is a guy who looks like he can deal with the physicality. I think someone told me he's about 6 foot already at 15, which is fair enough. He doesn't look like he's going to have a problem in terms of physicality. There will come a point where you have to look at it and say, if he's getting kicked too much, he is still only 15, so his body's still forming. So you do have to be careful in that regard because you can introduce injuries to a player who's getting booted by 25, 30-year-olds on a consistent basis. So you would need to be careful in that regard. But all in all, I'm feeling positive about the start of the season. Again, I want to speak to the people who were worried, and I would say I get it, but just think of the reasons why we lost that game. Like I said, Kivior was in that position. We haven't had our best start in 11 yet. There was massive experimental patterns of play going on by Mikel Arteta. So I would just say, I understand the worry and the concern, but at the same time, none of those things are going to be a factor come the start of the season. Now, in the next game, I've already said, you want to start looking like the team that will start the Premier League campaign. So if we go into the next game and we lose, and I still won't think it will be the end of the world, by the way, but I would start to think, I'm not seeing what I need to see. I mean, a massive plus from yesterday was Zubimendi, I thought. Look, Ben White had a good game. Norgard had a good game. I won't be surprised if he starts over Zubimendi in some Premier League fixtures, by the way. I think he has a lot of legs, but not as much as Zubimendi. I didn't realise quite how quick this player is. Now, I don't know if he was just racing one of their slow players, but at one point it was a foot race between Zubimendi and another guy, and he left him for absolute dead. Like, the pace on Zubimendi and the way he gets forward and the way he can progress the ball is far better than I had seen in previous games. So I think Zubimendi is growing into this team gradually. And if he carries on, Zubimendi, like, that's a massive plus. Because, look, I said the only unknown in this Arsenal team probably is that midfield. Like, it's totally different, especially in that number 6 position. You're obviously going to have Rice and Odegaard, who is a familiar playing partnership. Them two are always playing together. But that number 6 position is a huge position in this Arsenal team. And we have 2 new players in that position. But if Zubimendi keeps playing the way that he did play in that game, I have no doubt that this Arsenal team in midfield can be stronger than it was last season. We need players like Declan Rice to continue to improve. Because, look, yesterday's game, I think Mikel Merino had a better game. People might disagree. If you do, then let me know. But Declan Rice needs to kick up to that next level. I think Odegaard, at points in this preseason, has looked very sharp. And if he carries that on, then I can see Odegaard having a good season. But we all know Martin Odegaard has to have a big season this season. We've all said it. Martin Odegaard come out last season and said, look, I'm not where I want to be. I need to improve. And I'm sure he still feels that. But it's just very, very interesting. This game, it may be one of them games where it leaves more questions than answers. Hopefully we get those answers in the next game, in the Emirates Cup, and I'm just so excited for that game because I want to see the first 11. That's the thing I'm most excited about. Show me the first 11. Like, these losses haven't, like, dampened my spirits on wanting to see the first 11. Like, of course I would prefer the win, but at the same time I understand Arteta's experimenting and he still hasn't used his first team. Play your strongest team in the next game and just show Arsenal fans a glimpse into what they can expect next season, because people are starting to worry about the patterns of play, about the defensive shape. I think at times we was trying to attack the game a lot more yesterday, so maybe that did leave us vulnerable in those defensive positions. Let me know your thoughts on everything, not only that you've heard in this video, but everything you saw in the game yesterday. Like I said, I genuinely want to know. Thanks for watching, and before you go, if you could do me the favour of just hitting like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.